Before this podcast begins, on behalf of myself, Nathan Park, the staff at True North Goaltending, and the DIY Goalie podcast, we wanted to express our heartfelt condolences to the Southern Alberta Mustangs, the USPHL Alberta Division, and the families and billet families of Caden Fine, JJ Wright, and Cameron Casorso. These three young gentlemen were killed in a motor vehicle accident in state of Alberta while making their way to a practice. These young men were not only hockey players, they were teammates, sons, billet sons, brothers, billet brothers, young men, and as well as representatives of their community. We offer our condolences to everyone involved, and we wish everyone well wishes and rest in peace to the three young men. Thank you.
Welcome to the DIY Goalie podcast, where hosts and goalie coaches Nathan Park and Connor Monday share their insights on how to become a better goalie. Goalies, how are we doing today? Welcome to another episode of the DIY Goalie podcast, presented by True North Goaltending. And crazy enough, today it's Connor and Nathan together for a podcast episode. Seems like that doesn't happen too often these days, but I will apologize in advance too. We had a tournament today for our oldest and a full day of herding around U7 kids and siblings and stuff. I'm pretty drained, so we'll see. We'll see how many brain farts I have along the way. But glad that you all could join us for another episode this week. And how are we doing today, Connor?
We are good. There's a lot of stuff to be catching up on here. I mean, I guess first off, we are on episode 95. Yeah. So we are 5 episodes away from 100, which is pretty cool in my opinion.
7 away from 2 years.
Yeah, I guess. So there you go. And then excuse me, and then as well just a few things, buzzing around. Went to the Shoresy Classic a couple weeks ago. That was fun. I got to see Delorier and Scrivens, a couple of Oilers goaltenders here, so that was pretty cool. It was a fun crowd there, and just back to the grind here. We are kind of getting close towards the end of our seasons with some of our teams and some of our organizations. So, I mean, we still have like another month and a little bit to go here, but just kind of it all is starting to wind down, and then eventually it'll be playoffs, and it'll be summertime. So it all just comes up quick, and we'll deal with it as we see fit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that it's already February, which also means that one of these next couple episodes we got to break out a drill of the month.
I'll make sure I'll make sure that gets out either next pod or maybe when I'm editing, maybe I'll just throw it in there. I haven't decided yet. So when you guys are listening or watching this, you'll know what I've decided at that point. So
yeah. No, that's all good. So what we're going to dive right into it today. What I wanted to talk about, and apologize if any of you listening are part of our email list. We are going to talk about what we just put out to our email list. So before we get into that, if you guys do want to join our email list, we do send out a article as well as a practice plan every month on that email list. You can head to truenorthgoaltending.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, put your email in, and I'll add you to that list if you so choose. But normally I try and keep content on there kind of fresh and separate, but this was a topic that when I kind of saw it, I thought that this was something that maybe we should kind of really hammer home on all the channels that we could, because I think this is something that we see lots of and is detrimental to a lot of kids out there playing hockey, not just goalies. So basically, I wanted to go over the mentality of um, that it's NHL or bust when we're playing hockey. And the reason that we're going over that was because on one of the goalie parent groups, I don't know, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I saw somebody post that they were asking for advice basically on how they could convince their goalie to keep playing because the goalie wasn't drafted in the CHL draft. And was basically like, well, what's the point in pursuing this anymore? I should just kind of start planning for, what career I want to do and all this stuff. So obviously he's a high level goalie if he's on the cusp of potentially getting drafted, and now potentially doesn't even want to play anymore because of this. And I think that there are a lot of players, but also a lot of like parents, a lot of coaches out there, unfortunately, that kind of have this mentality that it's all about playing pro, playing in the NHL. And if we don't get there, we failed, right? And that's kind of, sad that a lot of kids potentially miss out on a full career and experiencing the cool things that you can experience playing hockey, just because of this sort of mentality. Um, there's a few reasons that I'm going to go over as to why you can still do a bunch of cool things with hockey, even if we don't make the NHL. But I guess before we kind of dive into that, like, do you have any initial thoughts, Connor, or anything you kind of want to throw in there?
Yeah, when I kind of read that, it kind of brought me back to when I was playing, and I kind of take it maybe few steps further back, in talking about the WHL draft, the Bantam draft, at least here in the western parts. It definitely for me was, for lack of a better term, heartbreaking. That I wasn't going to get a chance to play, major junior hockey. Not only just because I wasn't in the right stream for that, um, and just kind of how to go about doing that. But just kind of once I realized that that path had come and gone, you know, kind of realized again right then and there as well that the dream of playing the or making it to the show was over. But eventually, as I continued on and continued in hockey, and started to make connections in terms of coaching, now there's this whole new avenue, in terms of what I'm getting out of in hockey and in goaltending and all that fun stuff there. So there is definitely other avenues and other options that you can take, in which we're going to dive into here. But yeah, no, it just when I read that article that you had sent out, it brought me back to just kind of my playing career, and just, again, going back more to the WHL draft, and then that's kind of when you realize that it's over. But the ability to stay in hockey was never dead. So
Yeah, and that's the heartbreaking part. Like when I read this post, it kind of really, hit home a little bit because I can kind of relate to it. It wasn't that severe. And I'll go into that a little bit more, but it's mostly just like, you have this 15-year-old kid that's, obviously playing at some sort of high level, like AAA or whatever the case is, and they're thinking about doing a complete 180 and dropping hockey altogether just because they didn't get drafted where they wanted to, right? And on one hand, I'll say getting drafted isn't the be all end all to begin with. You can still make it places without getting drafted. You can still make it to the show without going through the WHL or OHL or whatever as well. So there's, lots of things to unpack there. But the biggest thing that I kind of wanted to touch on was just related to like the professionalization. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm rolling with it. Of young hockey, and a lot of these kids, I think, kind of suffer from that because we're kind of fed this mentality of if I'm not playing the highest level possible, if I don't make this team, if I don't make this league, whatever the case is, I'm not good enough. Right. And the reality of it is that it's such a small percentage that actually, hit those levels and make it. Um, it's the majority of us aren't gonna, get a chance to experience that. So we kind of have to be okay with that and recognize why we got into hockey in the first place. Like the reason that we play hockey, it's fun. It's a sport. It's a way to stay active. It's a way to be competitive. All of that stuff, right? We've kind of gone over this before, but um, that should be the primary reason we're doing this, not to get to whatever level, right? And there's various reasons that can come up that we don't get there, whether it is injuries, whether it is circumstance, skill, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, we can still do a lot through hockey, even if we don't make it to the NHL. And, there's lots of people who have made great livings in pro leagues in Europe or kind of around North America. There's scholarships. Like for me personally, I didn't have to pay a single dime for tuition at college because everything that or I guess all the costs of my tuition all came back to me in athletic scholarships just from playing hockey at my college. So that's another potential avenue, right? And just the relationships too, which we'll kind of get in later into the episode here. But the relationships that you kind of make along the way and the experiences you get, those are kind of invaluable in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at it more from the coaching side of things, which again we can get into a little bit later. But definitely like with the playing side of things, like there are other options other than going to the NHL. I'm always a personal believer of any opportunity is a good opportunity. I know some scouts and maybe advisors maybe hate me for that, but but just kind of being the outsider looking in, like if you get an opportunity to go play semi-pro or pro in Europe, then why not jump at that? If you get an opportunity to play in the Fed or the SI, then why not go and you know take a run at that, even though it may be a short-lived kind of run, but it's something that you can get your foot into, or can say that it's something that you got to do. And maybe that leads to something later on down the road, or maybe that's you develop connections there that maybe you use 5-7 years from now, right? So um like again, like I said, like any opportunity is a good opportunity. Hockey can provide a lot of cool things, scholarships, like Nathan was saying, or just the opportunity to advance from being a goalie to goalie coaching, so just there are different avenues. But if your end goal, and I suppose in a way it's a fair enough end goal, whether it's to make the NHL, or even I guess we should include as well the PWHL, right? If that's the be all end all, and if you realize that window of opportunity has passed, or the ability for that has passed, and you just want to quit right then and there, then why did you even get into the sport to begin with? Right? That's the biggest thing right there. Like Nathan was saying already, hockey is a game. Hockey is meant to be fun. Yes, there are some of those that maybe take this game and take our positions in particular maybe a little too seriously. But again, in the same breath, is that hockey and goaltending is meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyed. And if you take it too seriously, you do end up burning yourself out. You do end up, having a resentment for the game, like Jamie Phillips was telling us about. And eventually, you kill it a lot faster. And when you do end up if you do decide to walk away from the game early and you end up in your 30s, your 40s, whatever, you realize that you miss it. Well, then it's a longer road to kind of get back into semi decent shape if you want to go and play beer league or whatever, right? So highly encourage for everybody to try and stay in hockey and to try and stay in whatever sport it is that they're in, and for as long as they can, you know get out of it or get as much out of it as you can before you decide to officially walk away for good. I had one other thing. I can't remember what it was, but I think I've kind of nailed all the points that I wanted to nail there.
Yeah. So as a personal example, I had kind of told myself when I was playing junior that if I didn't get like an NCAA Division One scholarship, that I was just kind of done. And I got a couple offers for Div 3 and ACHA Div 1, but the honest truth about it, I guess, is that I really didn't want to spend 22,000 US dollars a year to go play hockey in the States. So, what I ended up doing was I kind of planned on hanging up the skates. And about a month or two into my summer, after I was done my 20-year-old year for junior, I kind of got the bug again. And so I had already enrolled in my college. So I called the coach and I said, "Hey, I'm already enrolled. I kind of want to play again next year. Do you guys have any spots?" And so they're still looking for their third goalie spot. And so he said, "Yeah, come on board." And I ended up doing two pretty cool things throughout my career there. So we went down to Arizona for an exhibition game against ASU, which was pretty cool. But then I also got the chance to play in that Oilers rookie game where, I got to play against Stu Skinner, Kyler Yamamoto, Caleb Jones, Ethan Bear. I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if I didn't decide to go play and play for my college team, right? And I think because of that, there was kind of a natural transition to me getting asked to e-bug for the Oilers for 2 seasons, where I got to do 12 games for that. And so you just never know what kind of comes from hockey or taking the chance on doing something like that. You never know what experiences you might get or what relationships you might make, and that sort of stuff. So that's just kind of like a personal experience of mine that you just never really know what can come of it.
Mine's a little more long-winded, I guess, so I'll try to keep it as short as I can. Um, so when in my grade 11 year, it's kind of when I realized that like after this year, playing, I'm done for good, and so that's when I made the switch and transitioning over to coaching. So made the switch my grade 12 year, transition over to coaching. Got to go around few places to be a goalie coach for a few spring hockey teams and minor hockey organizations and such, until I think it was the summer of 2018, 2019. I think it was 2019, where one of my beer league teammates had called me and said my nephew is looking for a goalie coach. Would you be interested? And by that time, I wasn't really doing very much in terms of the coaching side of things, and I was like, yeah, sure, jump at it. So then that's when I ended up in the Greater Metro Hockey League Western Division, when the Outlaw Junior League, Junior A leagues here, that is no longer around. But and then that transition into spending about 4 years in that league and getting to do quite a few things. I was named part of the all-star coaching staff, and I got to do the play-by-play and for some reason they got me to sing the national anthem at that game, so I don't know why, but they did. Not my greatest performance.
Find a clip of that. That should be our new intro.
You can find me on Spotify. And out of all that, made a lot of good relationships, and kind of went from there. And so all of that where I'm going with this is where I was on another podcast. This was maybe 4-ish years, no, probably over 4 years ago, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, where the podcaster had asked me, like, what's, you know, are you happy with your career? And I said, and I had said to him, it's like, if, because I think we were in the tail end of our playoffs. Like, if playoffs were to end today, and if we ended up not being brought back as the coaching staff, and I never got a job again coaching in hockey, I would be okay with that, because coaching in this quote unquote junior A league, if that's the highest level of hockey that I'll ever get to coach, and if my career were to end right there, I would have been satisfied. I would have been okay with that. Thankfully, it didn't. I got to coach a year in junior A, and now I'm coaching, or I'm probably going to be finishing up my year here soon, if in another month with Double A. So then I can say, hey, I got to coach Double A hockey, which Double A hockey compared to this outlaw junior A league, there's a significant difference there. But the point being is that, if, again, I can say it here again, if my career were to end today, if I were to have some sort of goalie coaching career ending injury, or if Nathan had just decided to fire me and then, like, blacklist me from ever being hired again as a coach in hockey, I think I'd be okay with that, because I got to do some cool things, and I got to be in hockey and be at levels in hockey that I wouldn't have gotten the chance to be at if I was still playing, if that makes sense. So it's all about, knowing where to go, or looking where you want to be, 5 years from now, and just kind of the connections that you get as well, both as a player and or as a coach, right? So it's just a matter of what do you want to do with hockey, aside from, the obvious.
Yeah, we stick around after this for an HR meeting to discuss your future with the company. um, um, we like to joke about that. So yeah, like that's a big one to build off of, is the relationships in hockey. Like what I'm noticing now that I'm kind of starting to dabble a little bit on the advising side of things, um, the actual power of the network that you have, especially in the hockey world, it makes a huge difference. Like it doesn't take long to connect the dots between you and pretty much anyone in the hockey world if you're fairly involved with it. Everybody kind of knows somebody who knows somebody type deal, and it's that's another kind of benefit. Even if you don't end up playing at high levels or anything like that, you develop these relationships with people that could end up helping with hockey later in life, or they could just end up helping with career, or just making, friends, right? Like just, maybe your best friend was on your hockey team or something like that, right? Like there's a lot of the relationship side of things too that comes with hockey. It's usually a pretty tight knit community. There's a lot of people that are a lot of good people trying to do good things. It helps with job offers and stuff too. Like when people have worked closely with you, they know your character. And a lot of employers too, they look for like team sports when it comes to resumes and stuff like that, just because of the characteristics that a lot of athletes kind of tend to bring. It's something that employers like to look at too. So that there's a lot of other benefits aside from just the sport aspect of it as well. But I think the relationships is one to really think of, and can really kind of help you later on in life, whether it is on the ice or away from the rink entirely. I mean, just the opportunity from, the guests that we've had on the podcast so far, like, talking to these people and then who they know, and then you get to talk to those people, and now you have people that you bounce ideas off of. Like never in my life would I have thought that I could just text David Hutchinson from In Goal magazine just randomly if I wanted to ask a question or anything like that. And now we have that ability. Like I text him every now and then about stuff, and it's kind of cool, and something that never thought we'd be able to do. So make sure that along the way, you guys, make these relationships, kind of be good people, and just make friends along the way. And you never know when it'll help kind of down the road.
And even for those, who go to academies or schools that have a hockey development program. I like to flaunt this every once in a while, but getting the chance to here in Edmonton, Edmonton to go to Vimy Ridge Academy and getting to work with some cool people on the goaltending side of things. Got to work with former Oilers goalie coach Dustin Schwartz and current Old Kings goalie coach Curtis Muku, who I still talk to every once in a blue moon. And then like Nathan was saying as well, from the podcast side of things, like we got to have Marlene Boissonneau, from the PWHL on the pod, and I'm talking right now with a few other potential guests that we may have lined up. Just got to find the time and to draw out questions and to do that stuff. But the connections and the relationships are there. Obviously Nathan and I have a little bit more credibility, to be able to do that, but no one's here to say that, just because you don't have that credibility right now doesn't mean that you won't be able to at all. It just takes that time, because word of mouth and everything spreads around like wildfire, right? So you want to make sure that that if somebody is going to be talking about you, hopefully it'll be in a good light. Nathan likes to do that to me sometimes, but no, mostly not. But I digress.
I shame you in public and praise you in private. I'll text them, "You're doing good," but never on the pod.
And that's at 2 a.m, where just like I open up my phone, close the notification, and I never see it again.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, no, but even now, like the opportunities that we've been able to do just from True North goaltending too, like I'm hoping I can hit up the GGR, the Global Goaltending Retreat in June this year, and go see a lot of these people that have done a lot for goaltending. So that was kind of the biggest like message, I guess, that I wanted to get across from today, is just that there's a lot of other things that you can accomplish and a lot of cool things you can experience along the way with hockey, aside from having to make the NHL, right? um, Even like I'll talk to people and I'll mention that I played junior A and a little bit at college, and you know there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, you're pretty good then," right? Even though it's only junior A, but there's like I can see Connor smiling, he's judging me right now, but it's true, right? Like, I mean, I think a lot of us don't appreciate what we can do along the way when we're kind of in the day to day, right? Like, I didn't really appreciate nearly as much as I should have the things that I got to do in my career. And looking back on it, it is cool the things that I did, but I also wish that I kind of taken them in a little bit more as they went. So don't get lost in the day to day of trying to constantly get better and get to the next level. Yes, we always want to be doing that, but at the same time, enjoy the ride, have some fun with it. It's a game still. There's lots of cool things to experience, like getting better over the years and kind of the levels that you guys can make, right? So just appreciate it. Don't get upset if you don't get drafted, if you don't make whatever team, whatever level. There's still another season to be played wherever you end up. And I'm hoping that this kind of helps to change the mindset a little bit when it comes to having to make the show or the highest level or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot more to it than just the NHL.
Yeah, and I wanted to throw this out there as well. Just again, like I was saying, like every opportunity is a good opportunity. Just understand that there are many different ways to either make the NHL, if at all, or even just to end up in, a pro, semi-pro ish standing. um with the rise of outlaw leagues and all that, like there, that is an option as well. um and then minor hockey systems, and going overseas, going out of country, whatever that may be, whatever that may look like. So I guess really just what we're boiling down to at the end of the day is just when you get to a certain point in your hockey career, and if you want to stay in hockey and the goal is no longer to make the NHL, well, then what is the goal? What do you want to get out of it at the end of the day? Really, I would say is that probably getting an opportunity to go to school and to play hockey at the collegiate or university level probably weighs a little bit more than actually making the NHL. Because a lot of what happens, to these pro players when they're done after 10, 11ish years, some, they don't really have anything to fall back on afterwards, and that's how some of them end up in the insurance game. No offense, Joaquin. Or end up, as car salesmen, or some of them end up in construction or whatever. And not that there's anything wrong with any of those, but education always will outweigh getting a chance to play pro, as cool as it may be. But a lot of those guys who do end up making pro at 17, 18 years old, again, that their career could take a different trajectory very, very quickly, in terms of injuries or getting outbid for spots. And then now they're scrambling or panicking to find, to end up in, or to find the next opportunity, or to get to the next position. So I would say is that, for a lot of goalies, that the goal should be to, number one, stay in hockey as long as you can. All roads lead to beer league at the end of the day. And number two, if you get if your goal should be is getting the opportunity to go to school and play hockey versus, making the show. But if the goal is still to make the show, open up your Xbox or PlayStation, launch NHL 26, be a pro mode, and you're good to go.
Great advice. Yeah. No, I think.
I like to think so.
Yeah, I think there's lots of places you can get to. And even if you make a semi-pro league that's not paying you very much, you can still say you got paid to play hockey, which is a thing most people can't say. So, but yeah, I don't really have much else to add. If you want to take us home, if you got nothing else.
Yeah, I got nothing else either. It's nice to be back and not having to try and ramble on for 30 minutes. So, unfortunately, one of our shorter episodes today, as we both have commitments outside of the pod this week, but hopefully we are back at it together for a more longer version next time. Hopefully with some guests. We got to get some guests lined up here again.
Yeah,
so it has been a little bit. I do have some conversations outgoing right now. It's just a matter of trying to get those approved and find time and everything else. Yeah. So, but otherwise, yeah, this has been another episode of the DIY Goalie Podcast presented by True North Goaltending. Make sure you guys follow us on our social media platforms, all at True North Goaltending, except on Instagram, because we like to be different. Go check us out, truenorthgoaltending.com. We do have our camp bookings live right now. Some spots are filling up fast over others. We are offering 3 different types of camps this year, which is very exciting. I'm going to kind of run through those quickly. We do have a U11, U9, U11 beginner camp happening the weekend of August 8th and 9th here in the Edmonton area. So if you are a newerish goalie, maybe you're putting on the pads for the first time, or maybe you're graduating from U9 to U11 and want to play goaltender and want to be a goalie more full time, that would be the camp for you guys. Also, would highly recommend as well joining us on our main camp happening the week of August 10th to 14th. And then we also are offering
booked almost.
Over 50% already.
Almost 50%.
Almost 50%. All right.
But
So,
yeah,
spots
it's
are,
going quick this year.
yeah.
So,
we're just a couple of popular guys, I guess.
yeah.
On top of as well, which is really interesting, we're offering True North Goaltending's first ever Ringette Goalie Camp, which is the weekend of August 21 to the 23rd, with our 3 specialized Ringette coaches. I'm sure that Nathan and or myself might make an appearance out there at some point, but yeah, so that's pretty cool. So we are diving a lot more into the Ringette side of things. So make sure you guys go check that out. Go check that out there. And yeah, so all of our camps are open and available for booking. Again, some spots are filling up faster than others, so make sure you guys jump on that now before all of our spots are filled up. Yeah, but otherwise, if you do happen to find yourself in the Edmonton area and you are not able to attend one of our camps, but you do happen to find yourself in the Edmonton area, you can go to our website, truenorthgoaltending.com, and you can book a facility session with either myself, Nathan, or many of our wonderful staff members that we do have. We got a lot of good feedback at the facility session, so come check us out there. If you are listening on your favorite podcasting platforms, whether that is Apple, iHeart, or Spotify, make sure you hit the share button if you are a returning listener. And if you are a new listener, welcome. And make sure you hit that follow and that share button. The more goalies that we're able to bring together, the better. And then on top of as well, if you are watching over on the YouTube side of things, if you're a new viewer, again, hi, welcome. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. Even if you are a returning viewer, it just helps the algorithm. And the more goalies that we're able to bring together, the better. And just the more content that we're able to get out and such. I am very slowly working on a vlog that I recorded a very long time ago at one of our weekend sessions. So hoping to get that done here at some point. Just trying to find the time to do that, but I will make sure that is posted on our True North Goaltending channel, so make sure you guys check that out. Otherwise, on behalf of Nathan Park and myself, this has been the True North Nope, that's the wrong one. This has been the DIY Goalie Podcast presented by True North Goaltending. It has clearly been a while since I've done this. Make some saves, goalies. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.